Hello, ladies. My name is Michelle Parent, and today I'd like to discuss stories. We all have a story, and it's such a powerful side of ourselves. And I believe that we should really own our stories and really use them, one, to understand ourselves better, our identity, our message, our why. Because our why is often really in our story. But also, our story is such an important part of branding. I do branding. I love your story. I love your story because it is your power. It is what attracts your tribe, really. Your story has its own vibration. It has the Me Too factor. So I find that if someone connects to your story, you don't have to sell to them. You really don't. Because it's that sudden, oh my God, you're like me. You get what I've been through. Where do I connect with you? Because we're so desperate to be heard, to be understood, to be acknowledged, for someone to say, I understand you. Because most of the time in our families, we feel a bit isolated. So to have another human that connects with us on that deeper level in our vulnerability, so don't be scared. You're going to have to be vulnerable for a bit. And connect in that space, then people can resonate with you on such a level that it's going to skip you a lot of money on marketing. Because you're going to, I don't know, it's so powerful. And I find that even though it's started to get a momentum and people are more talking about it, not enough people use it. Some people don't know how to do it. Some people are still in victim mentality, so they cannot see the power in their stories because their story still defines them and it still has a negative attachment to it. So there is no power in their stories. They went through all this bad stuff. No, it's not how it is, really. For a little short version of my really long story is the fact that I grew up as an abused child. My life has not been very pretty. And I've had all these physical health issues, the mental health issues, some that were apparently uncurable. Right, I can cure anything. And then I had all these issues, and then I would track bosses that were emotionally abusive, spouses that were not so nice either, friendships that were unhealthy, the whole thing. So a big part of my life was not necessarily in alignment. So you could say I was a victim to all those bad things, but I really wasn't. And that's what's interesting. Is that moment when you see that, one, you're the hero of your story. Hey, you made it here. And if you can learn everything about it, then you have so much knowledge, so much powerful knowledge of all type. It's in my story, there's so many lessons that I get to use in my work and support people. Without that story, I wouldn't be able to do it. Within my story, I got to learn that my drive in this lifetime is freedom and love because I had neither. It was completely stripped out of me from the moment I was born. So I got to experience through a lot of work how to love. And the love part, I think I still have a little ways to go. But I got to really value it because I had to work toward it. I got to value freedom because I had to work toward it. And then I can empower other women to do the same path because I understand it. So whatever your path was, whatever your lessons was, whatever your core lesson, as mine was freedom and love, and some people feel not good enough their whole life, and suddenly they work through it and they feel good enough and they can connect to other people who don't feel enough. Maybe you can connect to other people who feels constantly abandoned because that was your story. Maybe you can connect to other people who felt always in a stance of rejection because that was your story. So you have to go in your story, you have to find its power, you have to claim it, acknowledge it, love it, nurture it, and then you can use that in your business to attract those specific people. Here's another problem I see with stories is that a lot of people grew up as people pleasers. The people pleasers have a hard time defining who they are because they're afraid of leaving someone outside. But these people might not connect with me. That's okay. They're not meant to. There's a lot of people on this planet. And I mean a lot of people on this planet. And there's enough people for you. So let's not be in lack of not having enough people who's going to connect with our story. They will. If you own it, and I mean own it, they will connect with it. So don't fear that you're gonna leave people behind. I have my story. I know where I sit in my story. I have my style. I have my whole thing. And I never have to worry, oh my god, maybe I'm not like that person and that person may not like me. Because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because that person is ideal maybe for you. And that's totally cool. We all have our match, the people who vibrates at our frequency. And that's how it that's how it works. And so there's really nothing negative in really owning that story. Like, I mean, own it. And there's a way to craft your story too. I mean, there's probably multiple ways, but how I personally do it is I kind of drew. I have a 4-year-old, so I have craft paper, and I grab her big roll of paper, and I wrote a big wave on it, which is my life, the ups and the downs. And then I wrote, because we remember the negative more than anything else, I wrote every, like, pit of my story. The moments where I still remember that it really, really, really sucked. And then I wrote those down at the bottom. And then I start to think, what was my haha that made me realize there's more to life, there's more to this moment. So I start writing this down. What was my breakthrough? At which point did I actually learn something from this? And then I wrote that at the peak of all those waves. And then suddenly I had written this really amazing story. So then I sit back down in every pit and really sit with it, heal it, be with it, write in depth every part. And I remember going, oh, I've dealt with this part now. But then I write it again as if I was there at that age. And then suddenly I'm bawling my eyes out. And yes, it's uncomfortable for a short period of time. But the aha that comes after it is worth it. And then I have new knowledge. Like each pet, each rise, each breakthrough has something I can teach someone. And that's why we go through what we go through. If we just incarnated on this lifetime and it was all rainbows and roses in our lives, we wouldn't be able to connect with other people. I mean, unless we all do it, that would be magical. But the truth is, if you didn't go through that story, you wouldn't be able to connect with other people who did go through that story. Those are your clients. So let them have the me too factor. So be vulnerable. Like, I hide nothing. Like, nothing. I talk about things that is still uncomfortable and taboo to some people because it's okay to talk about those things. I give you permission to be able to say, I was physically abused, I was emotionally abused, I was sexually abused, because it happens. It happens. There's not shame to it, and it's okay. Like, I will release the shame attached to any of those things. So you have permission to say, I am okay. I am whole, and I'm not defined by that part of my life, and I can succeed even though this happened. That's why I'm honest about my story. So if you do the same thing, all your tribe will have that same power from you. It's that connection. It's suddenly it's a different kind of expert. I mean, when they talk about be the expert in your field, they often speak of it from a knowledge point of view. But you can build another type of expert. And it's the I've been there. I learned from it. I rise to the place I wanted to be. And I will show you the way. Because this is my mission. This is my calling. And this is why I am here. I'll be here with you. I'll be here for you because I've been there. So if you come from that place with your audience, it's so powerful. It's like nearly an understatement. I mean, I read some people's bio who's gonna, okay, few pet peeve of mine. Don't have a bio from the third person. Mostly if you're a coach and you connect with people, because it creates this weird little disconnect. They want to talk to you, not like someone else wrote it for you. So just avoid the whole third person bio. It just feels yucky. And then be honest, be personal. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? It isn't about all your achievements, isn't all about the attachment you have to all your titles. Really, I often don't care that much how many certificates you got. Do you understand me? Do you know what I've been through? You do? I'm in. I'm in because I need to bounce ideas off someone who gets me. That's it. That's all I want. And that's all a lot of people want too. So it's feeling empowered by your story and by yourself, by your path, where you don't need to attach to titles, to I'm only going to be good because I'm a master at this and I have a certificate for that and I did this expensive course. No. I'm worthy because I'm me. I'm worthy because I work my sorry ass off to be in this state today. Because I could have given up a long time ago because it was tempting, but I didn't. Because I'm a warrior. And if you cannot see yourself in this light yet, I will show you. Because I know what it feels like. See that connection? You can offer this to your clients as well. And this is powerful. It's so amazing. Like when people engage me from that place, just my heart chakra starts vibrating and I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. I don't even know what you cost. I don't know. I'm just in. And it's interesting because I have a lot of client calls and people's like how do you find me? It's like, I just love your vibe. It's empowering. And it's not about what I'm selling because I really don't sell a whole lot. I don't come off as like, here's my shit, buy it. Because it's not me. I like to tell stories. I like to inspire and all that kind of stuff. And it works. It works. Because I do what I do for serving. The money exchange is just part of life. But the truth is I'm doing it from a place of serving, from a place of empowering, and I do it because I understand the path. And I do it because I want to see you do the same thing to the people who will also need you. So stand in your power, stand in your vulnerability, stand in your story. Like you're the hero. Seriously, no matter what happens to you, I promise you're the hero of your story. Like, don't let low vibration, your victimhood control you because you're going to get robbed of all the magic and you're going to rob everyone who needs you. So, are you ready to claim it? Are you ready to be you and not defined by your story? Like, sit with your story. If you haven't crafted your story yet, just sit with it. Not the one that you've been repeating in your head all the time, because we sometimes become either desensitized by that or we've actually kind of twisted. So when you can sit with your story, you write it down, and every section you do, try to also have a different perspective on it. That means, how did this story feel and was experienced from the other people who were in that moment? Because I could say I was a victim to a very abusive, angry mother. But if I sat with that part and I sat in my shoes and then in her shoes and everything else around it, I realized she had a valid reason to behave as she did. Was it okay? No. But it was the best she could do in the emotional state she was, which was not a healthy one. And I understand, and I took the time to understand her story. And then that brought me to like my grandfather and my grandmother, and I was like, wow, they have a heavy story too. And then suddenly you get into the legacy of generation after generation, and you understand that it was never personal. It was never about you. And the pain that's happened to my mother was never about her. And the pain that's happened to my grandfather was never about him. And the pain that's happened to my great grandfather, who is my guide, he's pretty amazing, it was never about him. I mean, he lived back in the days where they didn't know how to cope with the fact that there was a tragedy, their house blew up, and half of his family died suddenly. There was such a guilt, a heavy, heavy, heavy guilt, then that kind of been transferred from generation to generation. And I suffered because of that one tragedy, because no one healed themselves. So instead of being disempowered by my story, by the pain I grew up with, instead I decided to be the hero of my story, to end the cycle. It ends with me. I don't have to pass this along anymore. And then I could help other women end their cycle. And sometimes I was super self-aware. Like, I remember things since I was 2 years old, and I never forget anything. But some of you do react in the face that you block your pain out. A lot of these memories are now in your subconscious. You do not know you've had those traumas, and you are stuck with all these resurfacing patternings. And you don't know how to stop it, but you don't realize it's part of your story. So you, no matter what you do to succeed in life, you have to face part of your story, part of yourself, part of your inner child, part of your shadow. You're going to have to be with it. Trust me, that discomfort is nothing, because I know a lot of people fear it. That discomfort of healing and refeeling those things is nothing comparing robbing yourself from the success, the fulfillment, the joy, the love, the acceptance that you could have, and the feeling of helping someone else because now you understand it. So dragging all this stuff with you forever, and then be on your deathbed one day and going, wow, I totally settled. I totally settled because I was scared. Because I was scared to feel something. Or you can rewrite your story. And then it ends here. It won't be an overnight thing, but make a choice. It stops here. I want to succeed. I want to be happy. I want to be in self-love. I could probably make a whole video on self-hate. I've mastered that. And all those kind of things. And it all comes from your story. So the point is, if you haven't faced your story, like really face your story and use it in your business, if your bio is not inspiring, empowering, if it doesn't make me feel and reach into that little darker part of myself, and I know we've traveled there together, and that you understand me, and it's missing something. So as a branding coach, I want to see this in people. It just reminded me. One thing I do when I'm in a bad place is that I binge watch Edition for like X Factors and all this kind of things because I'm addicted to their stories of rising. Like, I've suffered, I'm going for my dream. And it's so empowering. And I think as business people, if we can tap into that, yes, it was hell. Yes, I acknowledged it. And now I'm fighting for my dreams because I'm worthy of it, I'm enough, and I deserve it. Now let's go. So go with it. So sit with your bio, think about how you portray yourself, what you're projecting out, what vibration comes with your story, with you, and all that kind of stuff. So that's my little thing for today. If you want more help with writing your stories, digging into your stories, please contact me. I'm obviously kind of passionate about this, and I'd love to help you. It's what I love to do. Well, one of the things I love to do. And thank you. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for really acknowledging that there's lots of power in your story, that your story can be part of changing and healing this world. Thank you.